Hello, welcome everyone to, we've got a name for the show now. It's the Digichat SA. Hope that sticks for a while. Welcome to Digichat SA episode number 5. This is the show, or whatever you want to call it, where we discuss the digital marketing news, digital news in general, and how they might affect, how that news might affect South African businesses. Things that have happened over the last week that we think are worthy of businesses taking note of for now and for the future. With me, as always, is Laurina. Hey, Laurina, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And on the other hand, we've got Mr. Gareth Foster. Hey, Gareth.
Hey, Ali.
Yeah. So it's been a slow news week. We don't have much news, but what we do have is a bit interesting. We've got news from Twitter. We've got news from not news necessarily, but something to share from Facebook, and two Facebook experiments that are running right now, and how those might play out in the future, and some Pokemon news just to add some flavor to that. We've also going to go through online haters and trolls and what's happening on the internet right now, and how businesses can handle such things if they do unfortunately happen to you or your business, how you can go about that. We look at some examples that have happened this last week and how those have been handled, and how that might affect a business or brand or a personal brand at some point in time. So without, let's not delay so much, we've only got today half an hour because of some technical problems that we ran into. Just a quick word, this show comes to you every Tuesday at 10:30. Right now we're doing it on Google Hangouts, but we don't know in the future. But we'll find a place where you can tune in at 10:30 every Tuesday, and then we can have live chats, and you can answer questions, we can interact that way. But right now we're doing it on Google Live, and wherever you're watching this from, you can just leave a comment. You'll be able to, there should be a link for you to subscribe somewhere so you can get notified for future shows. We've got some very interesting coming out next month. You won't want to miss that if you're a small business owner. Okay, so straight into it. Twitter has had an eventful week this past week. There was the bullying story with Leslie Jones. This is the black actor, the only black woman actor in the new Ghostbusters movie. Now, the Ghostbusters movie itself had received a lot of hate from some of the hardcore Ghostbusters fans, and it was purely because the movie was now featuring women, and some people went as far as saying women can't be funny, so it became a whole sexist thing, about the movie, which retracted completely from the movie. And then on top of that, one of the actors, who's Leslie Jones, a black actor, she started receiving hate from this guy who is a known troll on the internet. Like, that's all he does. He's built a whole following of millions of people by being a professional troll. I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to give him any more publicity, But he incited his followers to start. So he said something small. He incited his followers. So basically, he was giving a voice to the people who don't have millions of followers, giving them a platform to hate on Leslie Jones. And Leslie Jones, as a result, said she is leaving Twitter and signed off that night. But what was interesting was that she retweeted some of the hateful tweets that she got, because it was racist, they were sexist tweets, there were death threats on there as well. And she says when she reports such stuff to Facebook, action is taken, but on Twitter it was different. Nobody was doing anything about it. So she decided to leave Twitter, and this whole big thing, and Twitter CEO contacted her, and they got in touch. They got rid of a few accounts, including this troll with millions of followers. I don't know how he managed to stay a troll for so long and had so many followers. But guys, these events, we see them happen every day to brands and to people. Sometimes, rightfully so, something wrong happens, and people have the right to voice their opinions. And social media allows them to do this, but sometimes it's just hateful stuff, to brands and to individuals. There's some individuals that don't have the status of Leslie Jones and can't make waves, but people are struggling with these things every single day on the internet. What can brands learn from this? Because there's two sides. There's the social network side. Well, Twitter has to do something about it, but on the other side, it's not going to stop. what can brand do about this or take from this? Let's go to you, Gareth. I'm going to start calling names.
Cool. I just don't know if Lorena heard or not, or if she's got a slow reaction. But anyway,
No, I.
if if you have a look, I mean, the first thing you can do is you can lash out. I mean, we know that it's happened many times before. That's a pretty dangerous approach if you're a brand. Because I think sometimes maybe in days or months or even years gone by, brands weren't that aware that their response to something can actually become a viral thing of its own. So I think that's why you'll see a lot of guys investing money and time and resources into public relations, so that their response to anything related to maybe a troll putting bad things out there about their brand, they do investigation, and then they actually come back with a proper approach to it in terms of what their response is going to be about it, and probably handle it in a more public sense, if I can use a better term for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You touched on a very good point there, the response, because that is absolutely crucial. How you respond to it, that in itself can become a story, not the story, but how you responded to it. Now we've seen in this case, Leslie has managed to shine some light into the issue, and then the good thing I was happy to see about this was that she received so much loving messages from the fans of Ghostbusters. Here's a video. I hope you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear that?
No, can't hear it.
No.
Okay, no, I'm going to play it now. Let me see. Okay, you obviously can't hear that, but it's not a okay. So basically, people made videos, people wrote her letters, people sent her a lot of love, say no, don't worry, don't give, and there's the whole thing, touching to your point, Gareth, about your response in itself can become a story. So the way she responded to these people is what actually became the story. And she said if she had kept quiet, like most people say, hey, just don't feed the trolls, nothing would have been done. None of this would have happened. But going back to brands, the response itself can make a huge difference. Lorena, you deal with conversations online every day. What's your take on this?
I deal with conversations both with the clients that we have, and I've also had problems with trolls on the internet. Being a fashion blogger, you have to put yourself out there and have people know you and interact with people a lot. And there are some pages on Instagram, for example, that just do shout-outs for fashion bloggers. I mean, if they see that, you're doing well, you're doing good things, they'll just, take a picture and tag you in it and be like, hey, this is Larina, this is what she does, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the trolls just love those kind of pages. And I've just learned, and I mean, especially because I'm still so small, I'm not Leslie Jones, there's nothing I can do about it. The trolls are just going to be trolls. I just have to read the comments and move on. The people that do put nice comments, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. But, yeah, you just have to accept that are trolls. As a brand, however, especially because you have your own account, trolls are going to be coming to your account and just putting negative vibes on your Instagram and your Twitter and your Facebook. And like Gareth said, your response is very important. And I feel like whoever is responsible for your social media should always have an extra team for such situations. So when it comes to the good comments, obviously I'll be like, thank you so much. We love the fact that you love our brand, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to negative comments, I feel like those should be taken. You shouldn't feel the need to reply them there and then. Think about it as much as you can and come up with a joint, way to respond to the trolls. Whether it be, responding with a brand new post even, sometimes that's a good thing. Instead of trying to respond individually to individual people, I feel like coming up with a post that will say, hey, we need to be nicer or whatever, will be better than, going viral because you hit somebody in a negative way or something.
Yeah, and we've seen this. I think I wrote about this. It was last year sometime when something happened. It was Woolworths. A woman wrote in to complain about. I think it was the clothing line that Woolworths has, and she said, for kids, some of the clothes are just like insane. Then they can't be for kids. They don't look appropriate for kids. And then Woolworths responded with an absurd answer that you could see the person who responded did not read the woman's comment. It was a long comment. So the guy just read the first two lines, made his own conclusion, just replied to this. And I can only assume it's a guy because a woman wouldn't be that stupid. So he responded to this, and people were like, didn't you read anything she just said? Your answer's got nothing, and that became a problem in itself. And Woolworths had to reach out to all these people that made comments and to say that, hey, they've also had the same problem. They had to get these people to Cape Town and say, hey, we'll do a focus group. And so they handled it very well. In the end, it turned out to be a public relations opportunity for them. But before that, the damage had been done for quite some time. Over 24 hours, the post had received hundreds of thousands of shares and comments. So yeah, the response is absolutely crucial. But as far as Twitter trying to bring verified profiles, do you think reducing anonymity will help brands, or just will have trolling in general? Do you think they'll just find a way around that?
I always think these guys will find a way around. Yeah. True. You see, we got the same thought.
Saying the same thing. We agree.
Yeah.
They'll find a way around it, but I think the initiative is good. It's just that at least they're doing something about it or trying to do something about it. So time will tell whether it's going to last.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like trolls will just be.
But
trolls,
I have to agree with what Leslie was saying when she was talking about how.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I agree with what Leslie was saying when she was saying that Facebook is more responsive to people voicing out their concerns when they see negative comments or negative vibes or trolls. Twitter, to me, has always been bullying social media platform, in my opinion, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I never got into Twitter in the first place, was because I would always see screenshots of people just going at it on Twitter. It just seemed like a mess. And with Facebook doesn't allow that. Like, Facebook will shut down your page for 24 hours if they feel like you're doing anything that is bad and will give them a bad rep. So yeah, I think Twitter's going in the right direction. It's about time.
Because it's also easier for Facebook, right? Because they've got your true name and identity, so you can't really recreate that and reconnect with all the people. But on Twitter, it's anybody can follow anybody and anybody can tag anyone. But on Facebook, if we don't follow each other, you can't tag me and bully me. You know what I mean? So I delete you as my friend, and that's it. You can go be hateful on your own space with your own people, but you can't make me be a part of that, But in Twitter, I can still tag you and you'll get all the notifications of, hey, I hate you, type of thing,
Yeah.
They've got to do something about it. So it's a double-edged sword. What makes Twitter great is also what makes it so impossible to control. Anyway, jumping to our next story. On the same line, however, talking about responses, Gareth, and this is something I will say, everything I say after this sentence is alleged. We don't want to get sued by anyone. This is hearsay, and it's alleged. Okay, nothing is confirmed, so please, there's a disclaimer. I heard this morning from one of, she was telling me about it's alleged no, I shouldn't do that even. Alleged. I'm alleging. A famous or popular real estate agent here in Port Elizabeth. Now she is a branded car and with her face on the car. And so she went to Bayworld. There was an event there, so the car park was full. And she decided she was going to park in a paraplegic parking for one reason or another. We don't know the reason behind that. And then apparently there was someone else who needed the paraplegic park across at McDonald's and walk across. So the person took a shot of the car parked there when it didn't have a right to be there and posted it on Public Servants Network. And of course, the internet unleashed its wrath on why this person would do this and how horrible this is. And then now she's a brand in herself, you know, a big brand she works for, apparently big stakeholder in that brand. And Bayworld now released a statement, you know, so she didn't say anything, her business didn't say anything. Bayworld released a statement to say that it was their mistake, that their car guard had pointed this real estate woman to park in a paraplegic parking, so it was their mistake. And then this letter got posted in a public service, so obviously her PR people, supposedly they were trying to do this whole thing. But I feel like we've all done that at some point in life. We're all human beings, and part of she should have just come out. If that was the case, shouldn't she just come out and say, hey, I did this, it was a mistake and it was irresponsible, I'm sorry? Could she just have done that?
It would have made for more PR for her,
It was going to be way easier for her to say, I agree with Gareth. It would have been easier for her to say, I am sorry, it was my mistake. How can you blame a car guard? Really? You blame a car guard? I'm pretty sure you can learn a license test, and you took a driver's test. You know exactly what a paraplegic parking is.
Exactly.
The car guard might not even know what a paraplegic parking is. He knows that he just needs to get people parked and people gone and then come back and give them a tip and they leave. You cannot blame the car guard. I refuse. You should have just come out and said, I apologize, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. Simple. But to blame the car guard and for Bayworld to have to release a statement on your behalf before you do, I'm not impressed.
I must insist. This is all alleged and apparently, and it's all hearsay. We have nothing confirmed from either Bayworld or the woman herself. So please take this with a pinch of salt as one of those stories. But yeah, you're right. I think just come out and say, hey, I'm human. I saw a spot open. I was in a rush, you know, because you can't tell me that a whole parking lot is full and then suddenly you see a spot right next to the door. You're like, I got lucky. You know, but yeah, when we do. I mean, this is something small. You get people like the BP and they spilled oil and killed, you know, almost entire species, you know. So there's big things that people have come out and apologized for. So small things like that could have been easily dealt with by saying, hey, no, I did that and it was irresponsible. I didn't think it through. I apologize to the people that I've caused the trouble for, and I'm going to personally reach out to them to apologize. And that would have been solved. So to this time, I don't think this person has said anything about she let the PR people do this, and they've turned it into something that it wasn't initially. Anyway, moving on to our next story. This comes to us courtesy of Biz Community. I don't know if you guys saw this on the thing. I think this is important that we discuss this in the next 10 minutes or so that we've got. Brands and influencers, the struggle is real. Now, Lorena, you're working to become an influencer in your own space. What do you think about how brands work with influencers, and what advice do you have for them? Because in this article, Anne, who's written this article, I can't spell his surname, so I'm not even going to try it. Dolenchik. Okay. So she points out that, you know, there's a difference between a celebrity and a brand. I mean, a celebrity and an influencer, and those two are not one and the same. Some people have huge followings, and she doesn't understand why she sees the same influencers. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes. She doesn't understand why the same influencers are pursued by brands to do all sorts of things. So today they're promoting tomato sauce. Tomorrow they're promoting cars. The next day they're promoting fashion. She says she doesn't understand what a big waste of money this is. And for the influencer, it's not good because people have followed you for something specific, say fashion. And now suddenly you're starting to talk about cars. I think you're going to lose the integrity of your integrity to the audience as an influencer. So she suggests that, brands, even if you don't look at the numbers, look at people who have influence, real influence over people, and then maybe instead of going after one person with 1 million people, go after 10 people with 100,000 each, which would have the same impact, but they have influence. So as someone who works as a blogger, Laurina, what's your take on this and what advice do you have for brands?
I have an announcement to make that I forgot to make when I heard about it. But I've been nominated for Blog of the Year in the UK awards.
Nice.
Yeah, handed out on October on October 29. So I will let you guys know when voting opens. I know Africa and America should vote.
Okay, fantastic. Congratulations.
But thank you. But when it comes to brands and influencers, I was actually speaking to a blogger just last week about this. And I kind of understand why brands go for the same people, especially in South Africa. I don't think, as of yet, we realize as bloggers how much of an influence we can have. And brands still don't take influencer marketing as serious as the UK or the US or Australia and stuff. So the reason why some brands tend to go for the same influencers is because those are the only influencers coming up to the table and saying, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. There's so many bloggers in South Africa that have an audience and have an influence, but they're still so afraid to approach brands because it's not yet built in our nature that as a blogger, you do have the power to influence people, and don't be afraid to go up to them and, give them a stat, whatever it may be, and show them that you can help them out and you can work together. And I agree with the article when it said that it's ridiculous to keep giving the same, the same influencers different brands to work with and promote, because you will see some bloggers today promote, 20 Rand face cream, and then the next day they're promoting to you 2,000 Rand face cream, and they're like, oh, you should go out and get this. I don't think you quite understand your audience. Either you're trying to promote to student budget-friendly audience, or you're promoting to people 30 and above who have such money to spend 2,000 Rand on face cream. So I feel like as readers as well, we are starting to notice that there are some influencers who are just doing campaigns for the sake of it. And it also hurts the brand, because then you're like, okay, what does your brand stand for? Are you just out here looking for influencers and you don't really even know what your market is?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Also, the article points out here, that you must know your market and find out who these people are and if they actually have anything in common with your market type of thing. Gareth, what's your take on this, and what advice do you have for brands?
I definitely agree with everything. It's also just, touching on the influencer themselves. I mean, the influencer becomes an influencer because of the knowledge they have within a certain sphere that they're working in. So now if you have other brands that are outside of that sphere approaching them to promote the product, it's like you say, they completely miss the target market. So at the end of the day, it's like throwing a line in the water and hoping that maybe these followers that the influencer have will bite onto the product that you're trying to promote. But surely, and in the day and age we live now, there's basically an influencer for nearly everything out there. So I think brands in South Africa are probably just, it's like Larina says now, brands, I think, aren't as aware as the overseas market that there is something like influencers. I mean, Ali, you know that we've been talking to one of our clients in terms of influencers, and we actually still have to explain the whole topic of what an influencer is, just to make sure that they know what it is. Whereas I feel the overseas market already know what it is, how to apply it, and how to make it work for the brand, so that you don't just waste your money.
Yeah, it's a fairly new field, right? And it's only going to keep growing. But I think the biggest problem in the author Anne points out very wisely here that there's a confusion between celebrities and influencers, or people with a big following and influencers. So we look at an account, we say, hey, and I've listened to some of these influencers here in SA, and they were talking about things like, hey, together we've got a combined following on all our social platforms of maybe 200,000-300,000, a combined following. And that's well and good, but what do you truly stand for? Because there's a reason people started following you in the first place. And as a brand, I think it's up to brands themselves to find out why did these people become popular, and is it for the thing that the brand wants to promote? Otherwise, it's a complete waste of time for everyone, influencer included. They're going to make their money short term, but in the long term, neither the brand nor the influencer is going to emerge a victor in this. So yeah, I think we still have a long way to go as far as influencers relationships is concerned. And I think once we get over the misconception of the misunderstanding between influencer and celebrity, once we can distinguish those two, and that brands can be happy to say, hey, I want to go to talk to this guy with 2,000 followers, but the followers live by everything this guy say. And usually when the followers are so dedicated in following someone, it's because that person stands for something. And usually those people won't even take a job that doesn't align with what they stand for. So yeah, if you see someone just accepting jobs left, right, and center, then maybe you should think twice about working with them, however influential you might think that they are. So that's that. It was a nice piece from Anne Dolan Sheck. We will tag her and let it know. Okay, so the next item comes to us courtesy of Forbes.com. And Lorena, do you want to take one with Facebook reach, because we're all complaining about reach and how bad it is and how bad it's getting. And Forbes made a case sometime last month that this could actually be a good thing. Do you believe that, and why? Perhaps just walk us through this.
From the marketing side of it, no, I don't believe it. But from a normal Facebook user side, yes, I do. Because at some point, your Facebook news feed kind of ended up becoming an actual news feed. Like, so much news on there and so much noise, because a whole lot of us like a lot of pages, but some of us like pages just in the moment type thing. You see a post from the page and you're like, oh, this page seems to offer nice things, and you like it. And at some point, our news feeds became filled with nothing but just pages and pages, and you never really ended up seeing what your family is doing, how Garrett's doing on holiday, or what Ali is up to, because it was filled with so much noise. But what Facebook is saying is that they want to now prioritize how the news appears on your news feed. So it'll prioritize news from or updates from your family and friends before your pages, which then means that if you want to appear in people's news feeds, you have to appeal to the users of the people who like your page, so that they share it, and then people see it on their timelines because it's your family and friends that share it. So yeah, it's good for users, but for marketers it's bad, because like the article says, it's now a pay-to-play game. So you have to, if you're not making stuff that people generally want to share, like virally, then you are going to have to pay in order for your content to be played, basically.
But As far as now that you mentioned viral, and Gareth, I'll let you jump in here. I just want to ask Lorena quickly. As far as viral is concerned, any tips you have or things that you see that people tend to share more than others on your side?
Well, yeah, we've discussed it before in a couple of episodes. Is video
Yes.
is the now. It is no longer the future. And yeah, short video clips that are funny or exciting or just wow, grab your attention. Those things that people are sharing right now, and also just beautiful images that, yeah, beautiful images and short video clips are what people are sharing the most right now.
All right, Gareth, what's your take on
Yeah.
the article? Is this good for Facebook? Is this good for users? Is this good for brands at all?
Well, yeah, I think you've got three different things you've mentioned there and three different approaches. I mean, users will tell you that they're happy with this because, I mean, it's sort of saying that you're going to see more of the things you want to see. I mean, that's what I think Facebook's aim is behind the whole change. Then from a marketing perspective, if you look at brands, they just it means they'll have to become more creative. And seeing that I've joined the world of Facebook Live this week, I'll start experimenting with it, and we'll,
Finally.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
setting up, just I've been giving it a lot of thought because I mean, I see how it's being applied and how it's being used. As somebody that's jumped up on my feed lately that shares live videos is Robin Sharma, who wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari and a few other books.
Yes.
And I've never really seen any of his content on my Facebook feed for literally forever. Now suddenly he's started using Facebook Live, and he does his little live videos every day from wherever he's traveling, and it's starting to pop up in my feed. So that is kind of the creative way in which he's seeing how he can have a better reach in terms of Facebook. So again, it ties back to Lorena as well, where video, I think, is going to be the future. And if you're going to be sharing images or pictures, it has to be good quality, great, with a great message or something like that in terms of,
Absolutely. All right, jumping on to our last story of the day, and this is a fun one before we do a tool review. This is a fun one. Before we get into it, folks, I'd like to remind you that this show is brought to you by afrodynamics.com. You can go to afrodynamics.com and subscribe there to stay up to date with all the latest and greatest news and tools, techniques as far as digital marketing is concerned for the South African landscape. This is, we don't send out frequently, but we always try to send out every time we have something awesome to say. So you won't get every day or every week, maybe sometimes twice a week. But whenever we do it, we make sure that it's something awesome to share. And you can ask your questions or suggestions, comments, stories that you want to share from wherever you're watching this from. You can leave a comment over there, and we'll attend to that when we can. Now, we can't obviously finish the show or go on with the show, although it's a dying subject. But Pokemon Go is something that is so very much alive. There's some news coming out of Nintendo that they lost market share, blah, 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 but we're not going to get into that. It was bound to slow down at some point. But Lorena, you shared this one with us, and Pokemon Go players in Japan are saying that pets can see Pokemon. And folks, just you can take a look at some of the pictures that people have shared, and the timing is really like, hey, the dog looks like he's looking at the Pokemon right there, and there's quite a few of these. The cat is right there staring at the Pokemon, and trust this to come from Japan. I don't mean to sound stereotypical or anything. It sounds like something that would come out of Japan. I must say, the few pictures that I've been sharing, it looks pretty like you can have a case for it. Like, hey, why does this dog walk and look up and then I don't know, but yeah, Pokemon are everywhere. They've been known to come out of all types of places. But anyway, that's our fun story for the day. And on our tools and review section for the day, what do we have to share today? Anybody has anything new they've discovered?
No, nothing new that I've discovered. But I don't know if we've spoken about Trello here already. because Trello
No,
has
I
been
don't
my
think I
life in the past week.
You want to tell us about Trello and how it could help businesses maybe stay organized?
Yes, yes, I
Mm.
do.
Yeah.
I seriously feel, and I was
Are you
speaking to
finding it?
Gareth yesterday, I seriously feel like I have just discovered this app because it's
But
amazing.
we did it forever. We just
I've
never
only
used it.
made use of it. Exactly. That's what Gareth and I were saying yesterday, that it feels like we have just
Yeah.
discovered this app and it's changed my life. I don't know how I was going to be able to go through the whole of last week if it wasn't for our meeting at the beginning of the week and, reminding us about Trello, because
Yeah.
it just made my life so much easier.
It
Basically
does.
what Trello is, I don't know whether you'll be able to see. Yeah, there you
I
go.
can share a
So
screen.
you
Yeah.
have boards on your. Oh, okay. So you have
I can
boards
share
on
a
your
screen here.
in your Trello, and then you put in there cards of the things that you have to do, whether it be during the day or during the week and whatever. And you basically move them across. Can you see that? Or do you want to use your phone, Ali? Your camera is better than mine. Oh, there you go. So you basically move your cards across boards as and when you are
Yeah.
working with
So
stuff. So if you're working on
we can
something,
go
then
in
you just
here.
put it on your working on. Yeah,
I mustn't
there you
share
go.
our secrets
So
here.
Ali is currently not working on anything. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to expose
So
anything, but that's the idea.
no, let's not do that. But
Okay.
yeah, the idea is basically to help you get organized, especially in an organization like ours where we don't work in offices, so we can't walk up to somebody and ask them what they're doing per se. So this virtual board helps everybody understand what it is I'm busy with at the moment and what I'm going to be busy with throughout the week. And if they want to add something for me to do, they just add it onto one of my boards, whether it be incoming or the board for the week, and then I'll work on it. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. It's really pretty awesome. You just have to do it right, and
Yeah.
like any. Gareth, how has Trello made your life easier?
Yeah, I must say, Ali, the discussion we had yesterday, I mean, it was like, I think the epiphany for us was the use that Lorena brought in of the weekly board, because, I mean, we know that
Yeah.
we've now discussed, and I mean, most companies will work very similar. Me coming from corporate background, I know. They have weekly meetings or even daily meetings. And I know of other companies that use Trello as well, even when they're not working remotely like we do, when they're working in an office scenario, because it's good to track projects this way. So you can create boards for projects. What Lorena's now done, which is great for us, is seeing that we don't see each other and we need to know or see what each one's busy with. The weekly board now is a great thing because now we can see all the tasks that for each person that needs to be done for the week. If they need due dates, they're in there, and then they get moved off as it gets completed. So it's a very easy system to use. I think it's just that, number one, we've all been guilty of it. Stick to the system.
Yeah.
It works. I promise you, it does work. And when you get little epiphanies like we did this week, where if you use the tool a little bit more creatively, and like Lorena's brought in this one weekly board, a little thing like that can actually change the whole way you use the tool. It's my 5 cents.
Yeah. So it begins with you having a proper structure to begin with, and then Trello just helps you stay on task and manage that. But that is a wonderful, wonderful tool when used correctly, and you can find that at Trello.com. We are not affiliated with them by any chance, but this is something we use here, and we find it quite useful. Anyway, that's all we have time for the day. As always, we'll be back next week, Tuesday at 10:30, if we don't have any technical issues. And hopefully by then we'll have a system for everybody to join us live. We'll promote this and see if people can join us live, and we can have live discussion that way. But we've got some wonderful, wonderful things coming up in August from afrodynamics.com. You don't want to miss those. Please go to afrodynamics.com and subscribe to. There's so many places to subscribe on the website. You definitely won't miss it. Subscribe to the newsletter, and we are launching something wonderful, wonderful coming your way between August and October. And we can't wait to share that with you. But in the meantime, thank you very much for staying with us. Thank you very much for tuning in. We appreciate your time, you taking the time. If you have any questions, comments, please don't forget to leave those wherever you are from. As always, this has been Ali Kibao and Laurina. Thank you very much, Laurina. Thank you very much, Gareth.
Thank
See you
you
guys.
for having me.
Thank you.